Welcome back for another video on the 2025 Cummins dually. So this is going to be a little more happy video than the last one. Today I'm going to be installing an air tank with a custom bracket. So if you watch my rear bumper installation video, you saw my pretty cool little quick connect fitting that I put in the bumper from ARB for the air hose. That really right now doesn't do a whole lot. I have it directly connected to the air compressor. With the air compressor I'm using, I actually have the option on here to run a line just to an air tank, air storage. So these two go to air bags, this goes to storage. So I got this 2.5 gallon tank from Viair. It's got 6 1/4-inch NPT ports. I specifically wanted this unit with the 6 ports over the version that had less ports because this one has a port on the bottom, so I can put my water drain here. The other version, since I'm going to be mounting my tank like this side facing up, the other side wouldn't have had anywhere to drain the water out of the tank. So I'll put a link in the description, of course, for everything that I use, but this specifically, you'll want the 6-port version so you have the drain on the bottom. So there are several reasons why you'd want to have air storage on board. For one thing, if we want to use the port on the rear bumper for tools or airing up tires, you pretty much have to have storage, because the way I have it set up right now, I have the line going straight to that connector, and it really doesn't work at all to air a tire up. Basically, the way the Logic Air system works, it wants to inflate the tank to a certain pressure and then let you decrease the pressure to a certain threshold before the compressor turns back on. It's not like some of these 12-volt plug-in compressors that'll just turn on and start filling the tire up. This is more like your shop air compressor where, you know, it'll air up to 150 psi and then it won't kick back on until it hits below 100. So airing up tires, running air tools, that's one thing. I'm also a really big fan of air horns. So I want to start manufacturing a bracket for the air tank, and then below the air tank, I want to mount the air horn. So maybe you have no desire to air up tires or run tools, you just want air storage to blow your horns. Now I do have the Logic Air bags. So that's a sleeve style bag, and that thing takes a ton of volume of air to air up. So the benefit of running the air tank with the high volume air bags is if you need to change your pressure and you need to increase it, you can already have that tank aired up. It makes airing up a lot quicker. When I air this truck up, when I'm hooking a trailer up and I need to take the bags from 0 to 80 psi, it takes quite a while. I would say it's over half a minute to go just from a dead 0 and having no storage. So now if I have that air tank aired up to 200 psi, it's going to air those bags up a lot quicker. Now on my Duramax, I'm using the tank for a totally different setup, and that's actually to add volume as basically an air cushion shock absorber for the air bags, because those airbags are so tiny that if you compress them just a small percentage, it spikes the pressure way up when they compress. So on that truck, I'm adding half-gallon tanks just to basically effectively raise the volume of the airbags, because now it has to compress a whole nother half-gallon of air. That's a pretty complicated subject. There's not a lot of reading material on the internet if you search for it. Pack Brake is the only people who sell what they call I think they call it a shock tank. Airlift, Firestone, nobody else markets anything like that. I'm still in the experimental stages of that. On this Cummins dually though, these bags are such high volume, I don't expect adding more volume is going to help anything. So there's a ton of wasted real estate on these 2010 to 2026 beds. You know, we don't have a step up here, which I really hate. I would love to be able to crawl up and reach over a lot easier, the Chevys and the Fords, not only do they have the steps, but their fenders are more of an add-on to a single rear wheel bed, where this is a purpose-built dually bed. And that's what I love about it. It's way more aerodynamic. You're not gluing a piece on and then having the potential for rust forming or that seam to fail. So I do like this. I always wished we would have the RAM box so you could have storage inside here. We don't have that. We're not going to get that because supposedly 2027 we're getting a whole new bed, whole new body, whole new everything. So I figure, why not make the best out of this, because this is basically all open. Underneath this piece of sheet metal, there's a little kind of wheel well, inner fender line or whatever you want to call it, inside here. This little arch kind of goes up. But otherwise, this whole space under here is open. It's a giant void. And so I thought that would be the best place, really, to mount an air tank. I wanted to mount the air compressor up there. I kind of had a time crunch when it came to mounting that, and it would have taken a lot of engineering and trial and error to get a bracket made to get it in the right spot. So instead, I thought, you know what the next best thing would be is air tank storage, because a lot of the aftermarkets are going to make you come under here and delete your spare tire, and I don't want to do that. I want to leave the spare tire where it's at. So I've been working on a bolt-on bracket solution to mount that air tank, and I've got the first one done. It's for the passenger side, and then the plan and the goal is to come out with one for the driver's side. It's going to be a little different because you're kind of working around the fuel filler neck and some wiring, but it should be close enough. I could easily create one for this side too. Now, while this may look like a pretty big tank being 2.5 gallons, it's really only half the volume of your standard air bubble, which is 5 gallons. So that means I'm going to need 2 of those, and that's why I think I'll make a bracket for each side, the right hand and the left hand side. Because if you've ever used one of these air bubbles, you know they really don't put out a ton of air. You might get one tire aired up at the most. The difference here, though, is this only airs up to about 120, 125 psi, and then that pressure relief valve blows open. With the Logic Air system and the specific Viair tank I bought, you can safely air that up to 200 psi. And when you don't have a ton of volume, you can make up for it with pressure. When it comes to getting your air tank prepped, you're going to have to put these little rubber grommets into the mounting legs, and then after that you shove these little, I don't know if that's brass inserts, to basically stabilize it. So that's going to help with the vibration isolation, so that, you know, like this leg, this weld doesn't crack and fall off. So I really like this design. These grommets can be incredibly difficult to get into the hole. So the biggest thing you can do to help is put these in some really hot water, not boiling hot, but pretty hot, because that's going to make them a lot more pliable, and it'll make them want to bend and go in. And then, of course, you can use a little bit of lube to help get them slid in. I had some tire mounting lube to get the tire bead over a wheel, and that worked really well. Soapy water would also probably work pretty well. You don't want to spray cold soapy water on it, though. You'd want to use hot soapy water, because you want to keep that rubber hot so it bends. Alright, hopefully you can see this. I'm having some camera issues and it keeps shutting off on me. We're just underneath the bed of the truck, and so all this space is open, and this is basically the inside of the bed. And so I'm hopeful. I don't know at the time of recording this video if a single rear wheel truck would work with this kit, because I have a feeling this is probably where the sheet metal for a single rear wheel truck sits. And we're using this space over here. So we're going to use this threaded, factory threaded M12 hole here. This one right here. I make some special provisions on my part to allow us to actually use a bolt to clamp the plate using that threaded hole, because it's like really odd. It's actually almost overlapping this post right here. And then you have all these slots with nothing going on. And then over here, you have a piece of sheet metal welded up inside of here, but it's just a hole. And so I just got done tapping this so we can put a bolt there. But here's where you're going to have your own option. You're going to have to make your own decision. You can use M6 or M8 hardware. So the holes that come in my plate are going to be M6 sized. If you want to drill them out larger so you can use an M8 bolt, that's fine too. Because this hole is actually just a little bit bigger than the correct pilot hole size for M6 thread. It's close enough that it works, but it's on the sloppy side. It's a little bit oversized. So you're not going to have full M6 thread strength from that hole. First and foremost, we're going to tap this hole to M6. We're going to start our bolt back here because the plate is slotted. It's easiest to have the bolt already started. Then you can slide the plate over this while you get your other two bolts in. And I have the holes on the plate kind of slotted and oversized since obviously the location of all this stuff isn't always going to be spot on and exact. So those slots and the oversized holes kind of allow for some of that factory misalignment. You want to make sure you get these two guys started. This one's going to be a pretty tight fit. The bolt hole is not really oversized or slotted, so it's going to kind of locate your plate. And then the last thing we'll do after those three bolts are installed is then we'll mark this spot so we can drill and tap this. And you're also going to have another decision to make. You can drill and tap this metal, or you can put a nutsert in. So if you have the tool for a nutsert, all you do is drill a hole, and then you put this grommet in there that's threaded, and it crushes it. It's like a rivet. It's like a threaded rivet. That way you don't actually have to tap the metal. You can drill the hole, you can paint it so it doesn't rust, let that dry, and then put your nutsert in. This would be pretty hard for me to film overhead while I'm installing it with one hand and trying to tighten bolts and holding the camera with another. So I'm just going to show you this plate here really quickly. It's got the precision laser cut holes for the mounting feet for our tank. And then you have your holes for your M12 bolt. This is actually slotted. So I had to put a spacer top and bottom to make that work. This is for that front M6 hole. And then on the rear, I just went ahead and went with M8. But again, if you want to run this one as M8 also, you'll just have to drill this out a little bit bigger for the M8 bolt. So now we've got the plate mocked up. Bolt in here. Got that M6 bolt in there. We've got our other M12 bolt in up here. And now if you can see, took a silver Sharpie, covered that, get my center punch mark put in there. So now I'm going to take the plate out. We'll drill and tap that to M8. So we need an M7 drill bit for our pilot hole, which is 0.275 inches in diameter. So I got my hole drilled and tapped. So you're going to use a 9/32 inch pilot hole. And there's actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, there's actually two layers of steel and they're not touching each other. They're spaced about 1/8 of an inch apart or more. So I went ahead and drilled through and tapped through both of them because this is pretty thin stuff. You're not getting a lot of thread engagement. So any more you can get, the merrier. So my recommendation at this point is I would use the M6 there. I would tap that to M8. If they ever do fail, then you can use the nutsert, because the nutsert, you're going to drill this out a lot larger, obviously, because the inside is tapped to M8. Then you have to have the thickness for the nutsert itself. So I always like to leave that as the fail-safe kind of fallback option. Alrighty, so we got our bracket painted. I'm leaving these bare steel in case you do want to weld anything to them to help mount your air horn or whatever else you might have. So for the tank itself, I put in a water drain at the bottom. I have used the cable pull types before and I found that they leak like really easily, really quickly. You're basically bending that drain, and if it doesn't go back and go all the way in, then they leak. It's not ideal to use 90s because you do lose a lot of speed with your flow if you do a 90 because it's resistance. It's better to use a straight. I'm kind of just using what I have on hand. Here's my pressure relief valve in case the system would ever overpressurize. I have this safety just like you do on your air bubble. If you overfill it, this will pop open, and all you got to do to stop it is push that back in. And then my other 2 ports are plugged. For hardware, I'm using my own zinc plated bolts because they just had some super cheap black oxide bolts. They do have a special wide headed washer to go and sit against the top side of that rubber isolator. And then on the bottom side, I'm just using my own zinc plated flat washer and a distorted lock nut. You do want to use the bigger washer to cover up the rubber isolator on the top so that it doesn't try to like pull the bolt head through the rubber. So the way I designed this plate is so that ideally you can bolt this to the plate on the bench because it's a little bit cumbersome and tedious to bolt this on. Then you can take this whole assembly to the truck, and I tried to space the holes out wide enough so you can get your wrench up past the tank to bolt this plate to the bed. So it should be really simple to install this and then remove it as an assembly if you ever need to change a fitting or address a leak or whatever. All right, we got her installed. I'm on to the last step, which is to connect the lines and air it up. So there you can see how nice and tight it fits up inside that frame rail between the bed side, and how if the single rear wheel beds end right there, how we'd probably have enough room for this and those as well. So now instead of taking this 3/8 line straight back to that quick connect, I'm just going to cut it and put it into these quick connects I put on here. It's like a Chinese finger trap. So you get this really nice airline cutting tool with the Logic Air kit. So it gives you a nice clean, straight cut, because it's important to have both clean and straight cuts, because the airline actually rests against an O-ring inside this fitting. So if your cut's diagonal, it's not going to fit tight. And if it's a jagged, rough cut, it won't seal all the way around on that O-ring and you'll have a leak. And at 200 PSI, I've never run anything at 200 PSI. So I'm curious to see how this system holds up